want to invite our discussant, Dr. Rebecca Oxford, to share her insights with us. All right, so Dr. Rebecca Oxford, you can get started.
And I am looking for my PPT.
You can click it.
Yes, thank you.
All right.
First, I want to say, all right, I think I'm going to do this. Can you see?
Yeah.
Here's a heart. Well, more or less. There's a heart. And
a heart.
A heart. And I want to say that we have just been in the midst of a long and wonderful prayer. If you think about it, everything that Lynn now said to us can be thought of as a grand prayer. And now I would like to review and think about your eyes. We're reviewing and re-envisioning with me what Lynn Laoshi has told us. And we're going to consider more perspectives and think about, it's another way of saying vision, perspective. So we are looking through the eye. Lynn Laoshi was talking about the axial age. I just want to bring up to you what that looks like. The axial age, as you can see, there's an axis that goes through the Earth from the pole to the South Pole, and it's the imaginary center line. And we rotate around this axis. And in the axial age, the rotation was so grand that we humans turned toward transcendence, a flowering of minds and hearts, and even more than the flowering, it's a total transformation that these world religions and the philosophers brought to us. It's the hope that our hearts and minds will unite and actually learn from the philosophies and the religions. Okay, Lynn Laoshi emphasized love of many, many kinds. The one that is most inspiring to me and hugely necessary is respect for Mother Earth, or Gaia. And I want to bring you back to the video of man, where you saw this first human, maybe not the first, but the humanity bit by killing off various species and creating bigger and more confusing situations until the whole Earth became pretty much a human garbage dump. That is not what we want from the Earth, from Mother Earth. That is not what we want to do to Mother Earth. So let me share a little bit more. Lynn Laoshi was talking about the indigenous religions, which considered the bear people, the wolf people, all these other beings as important as humans. And I want to bring to you one of my favorite books. It's called Thinking Like a Mountain, Toward a Council of All Beings. And here above us here, right here, we can think like a mountain. We can think like these trees. We can think like the ridges. Also, think about this. Even a stone has some kind of sense, some kind of consciousness. We don't even think about that. We don't believe it. But I think that this book would tell us that it does. Here are pictures from different parts of the world showing respect and compassion for Mother Earth. Respect and compassion, the same as we should show to each other as humans. We need to show to all beings, recognizing that humans are part of the environment, but we are not the center of it all. I think that if you know about the chain of being, the great chain of being that was talked about in medieval times and Renaissance times, the human was the top rung, the top dog, you might say. And then, okay, man was the top, the woman was second, the children, human children, were third, and on down the chain of being. And all the natural, the Mother Nature aspects beyond ourselves came last. And to me, that is so frightening. That is so terrible. Oh, okay. I think that we have some of my ideas superimposed on Lin Laoshe's. That's okay, because that is a symbol of what has happened. I should say that Lin Laoshe was my great teacher and is my great friend. And there's a bond of love between us. So it makes sense that what I'm saying is superimposed on her slide. On the right side, okay, I'm going to show two sides of climate change. This is very shocking to me. On the right, we have Person of the Year from Time magazine, Greta Thunberg. And some of you will have heard of her. She's a young Swedish activist. And she went to the United Nations to say, how dare you? Why are all you leaders of the world letting Mother Nature suffer, creating climate change and doing nothing about it? So Greta started a youth movement all around the world to stop climate change. And she wants to save the earth and everything in it. Now look over here on the left. There is a girl named Naomi Seat. And she's a young girl. She has been hired. She is being paid to be the anti-Greta. She is the person who is supposed to be the opposite and more beautiful and more gorgeous and gracious than Greta. And she's hired to be a climate change denier. She's the one that's going around and being paid to say that there is no such thing as climate change. And let's leave that alone and forget about it and be earth consuming people. Very, very frightening and very terrible. Caring for our earth is the thing that will save us, and it will save the rest of the species. I mentioned that there's a youth movement. You can see in the top part of the slide, these are students, young people who followed Greta's march around in different parts of the world. But I want to tell you that it's not just a youth movement. there is a man, or was it, well, a woman perhaps, we cannot really tell, an elderly person who is saying, stop climate change. So there are many people of all ages involved. I want to mention that this movement is not just in Europe or not just in any one place. In Africa, there's on the left, a large movement, especially in Nigeria, coming out of Nigeria, against climate change. And you can see people from all around the world who are acting. They're not waiting, they are acting against climate change. They're protesting and asking for help. Now, I want to show you something that's very, very discomforting to me. You saw this wonderful image that Lynn Asha showed us, where out of nothing comes life. And she showed us the tadpole, the frog, and then the fishes can come, and then the world just keeps burgeoning and burgeoning. Okay, that is symbolic of spirituality, life, the creative Tao energy. But I want to tell you, and maybe some of you already know this, that the image of the frog has been used in an opposite way, also terrible, frightening, as a symbol of violence and danger. And in fact, this image right here is called Peppy the Frog. And it is used on the internet. If you look around, don't look too far, it will scare you. An image of white supremacy, white nationalism, death, anger, hate. So the same symbol, the frog, is used for creativity and beauty and spirituality, and so ruination and hatred, racism. That is shocking to me. Remember what Lynn Lauscha showed us. Every major religious tradition calls for love. It is embodied in love, and it embodies love. But we often see a lack of compassion for others. What I have noticed, and it's not just in the last few years, it's been through humanity's lifetime, but specifically I'm talking last few, ethnic cleansing in various parts of the world. And these women have been put into slavery, sex slavery, other kinds. I am very concerned about the Rohingya refugees who are they've pretty much they are being kicked out of Myanmar into Bangladesh. Bangladesh doesn't want them, so they don't have anywhere to go. Then there's misery at the US border, where Mexican hope for immigrants, people from Central America trying to get into the US, stopped at the US border. The parents and children were put into detention. And in many cases, parents were deported and children were left in detention, essentially in prison, in wire cages. And then some of the children were sent out to live in foster families, but without their parents, not knowing if they would ever see them again. At this stage, there are 565 families where the parents and children have been split up, and there's no connection, there's no paperwork for them to get back together again. Okay, I wrote a chapter about hate speech, and it made me very ill in a sense. Hate speech at many social levels, and then we see this on TV quite a lot, inciting physical violence. The hatred inspires violence, but it's not just physical violence. Hatred can inspire indirect violence, in which certain races are not allowed to have decent housing, joblessness is worse for certain races. I don't even want to get into that. It hurts so much. Then we see the rise of neo-Nazis in various countries. In my country, in Germany, in other countries. By the way, if anybody wants the hate speech chapter, what I wanted to say is at the end, toward the end of that chapter, I talk about how empathy can take away the hate. And a sequence of sort of an educational sequence for how to develop empathy and reduce hate, change lives. So if anybody wants to see that, I'd be glad to send it. It's also in my my third peace book called Peace Building and Language Education. And by the way, those other peace books did come out. The Language of Peace and Understanding Peace Cultures. So the more I study, the more I want to share, and the more hope I have. Okay, you can see the star here. We humans need more practice at love. It's not as though love cannot exist. We just need to practice it. We need to think about it. We need to be, as Lenosha said, we need to be the love. Gandhi said we need to be the change that we want to see in the world. We need to be it. Live it. How? Okay, you can see this image of the flowering little bud here growing out of the ground. And you recognize that from Lenosha's talk. My question is, can we go beyond our age of anxiety? Here we are, most of us, quite anxious about the pandemic and many of us distress Earth through climate change, which we have helped provoke. Can we go beyond the age of anxiety to a new axial age? Or at least can we remember what we once knew axial age? And love is the way. To me, love is the way. Love is the path. Taoism, Christianity, Hinduism, Buddhism, it doesn't really matter in the long run if we think about the basic principles. Love is the way. I want to mention a book by Sharon Salzberg, and she has written many books about loving kindness, meditation, mindfulness. The one that I am reading right now is called Real Change, and it is about how we can use mindfulness in our daily life. It came out this year, 2020, but it is essentially for all time. Very readable, very generous, and good guidance. And it's not just out of It comes from Buddhism, but it's for all people in all religious backgrounds. I just wanted to show you this. This is Mother Nature in bloom, beauty incarnate here. And I wanted to thank you and send my love to you. Whoever you are, I know a lot of people here in this audience. I want to thank you for being here, and I want to encourage you to love and to respect Mother Earth and to do something, anything about kindness and generosity in the world. Of course, the people here are the ones who are already doing things, but just be patient and expansive and keep on going. So thank you very much.